So, the whole point of spirituality and waking up to the reality of who and what you are in your wholeness has very little to do, if anything at all, with changing your thoughts, trying to become something or someone. It has everything to do with being honest with yourself about the thoughts that you have and being willing to embrace all of them. Noticing what thoughts you're hooked into in terms of becoming identified with, and where you are lying to yourself about even that, where you have used spirituality as a mask to identify with, to avoid being honest with yourself. So ultimately, really, spirituality is about being self-honest to discover your wholeness. There's, in a sense, two parts to looking at what vision actually is. So we've been told in a lot of bodies of work out there, transformation, law of attraction, all these other things, that have a vision of your future and be as clear and detailed as you can, and then feel it as if it's already happened and have a sense in a real genuine state of gratitude, and it will happen. Now, this is true, but you need to understand something. Your ego doesn't know what's in your best interest. This is the first thing to get real with yourself about. This is the whole premise of spirituality. Your ego doesn't know what's in your best interest. Now, secondly, vision comes from a place of seeing all things for what they are, which all things are neutral and innocent. This has to do with going through a process of withdrawing your value that you've placed on all things in the world. So, withdrawing the value you have placed on the world entails a new level of self-honesty that we are not used to having. And I would even I would even assert to say that we don't even know how to do. How to be honest with ourselves about what we have lied to ourselves about, who we say we are and how we function in the world, identifiably, subconsciously. That's a whole ball of wax in and of itself. And that's really ultimately the work. As you do that, you're going to start to discover the fact is, when we're identifying with our ego, which we all have, we really don't know what's in our best interest. So if we don't know what's in our best interest, how could we think we know what the vision of our future should look like that's going to be in our best interest? This is a reality check. This is the whole point of really being honest. So follow me with this. And here's the reason why we don't know what's in our best interest. And here's the reason why we have so identified with our ego. Even spiritually, we have identified with our ego. We use spirituality to dress that up and even avoid looking at our ego, looking at the self-denial we have steeped ourselves in. So this is awesome. You look at culture, society, education, the way we were raised. All these things are programs. We've been conditioned to think a certain way, to think who we should and should not be, to think what we should and should not want. It's in media, it's in social media, it's in entertainment, movies, it's in our families, everywhere through generations. This is the kind of honesty we need to get real with ourselves about and realize that none of these things can really give us peace and happiness. Peace and happiness are always there. They're already there. It's just we don't know what they actually are because we have been so identified with lies about who we think we are. And we've identified with it from a very early on age in our lives because we wanted to belong, we wanted to be loved, we wanted to survive emotionally. So we created an identity. And we've got all these ideas of what we think to be happy and peaceful and fulfilled are, which don't cut it. They never can, because these things are never, ever based on a result. A result that this world or any of our achievements can produce will never touch on what they actually are. These things are unconditional. They're part of our nature and our being when we actually get these things out of the way, when we start to see them for what they are and start disidentifying with them. When we start disidentifying with the belief of who we think we are, our identity, our personality, when you find yourself saying nonchalantly and casually, that's just who I am. That's not who you are. That is the tell-all of what you have identified yourself to who you think you are and who you believe you are. This is a limitation, and this is also a delusion. It's not true. It doesn't make it bad and it doesn't make it wrong. It's completely innocent and it's okay. It's also showing us how much of a creator we are all the time. It's just we don't know how to create based on our best interest because we have denied it. We believe we're separate from the creator, and that's the only thing that gets to be healed and corrected. When we start to see how much we have placed in the way of justifying being separate from our creator and get real on that level, again, self-honesty, then you're starting to do the work. This is also showing us why we don't really even know what vision is. And this is going full circle back to the original video of vision. Vision is two things, like I said. One, it's seeing things for what they are in true vision, which is seeing all things as innocent. This has to do with noticing where you've placed value in the world where there really is no value. This world can never add to you or take away from you. Nothing in it, nothing you do in it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, vision, like in terms of a vision for the future or something like that, that's rare. But vision really comes, creativity comes when you have gotten yourself literally present to a place of complete acceptance of all that your mind is holding on to, all that's in your awareness without judgment. It doesn't mean taking it out. It means embracing it all without judgment. Then vision shows up. Another way of saying it is having guidance by having faith. Faith is knowing that you are in the right hands when you put all your trust in the Creator, the only source of love, the only source of peace, the only source of happiness, gratitude, fulfillment. This is where we think we know what gratitude is because it's based on if I have XYZ, if I have accomplished XYZ, which is why we think we need to have a vision of what XYZ even is. This is our mistake. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that we're cutting ourselves short of a full range of what's available to us in what happiness and peace and gratitude truly are. Like I said, they're unconditional. They can't be predicated on a result. It's impossible. This is why letting go of that and trusting the Creator will guide you into that. And here is the cool thing. When you do that and you are accessing these undeniable states and experiences of peace and happiness and joy and gratitude and fulfillment without needing a reason to justify them, then life is being provided for you and it's showing up in a way that is far greater than you could have ever imagined, than you could have ever visualized, than you could have ever predicated. This is the beauty of it. This is what living in the kingdom of heaven actually entails. Letting go of your idea of what you even think that is and trusting in the Creator, only being honest with yourself about what you have identified with, which you are not. You've used your wholeness to make what you're not, and then getting real with yourself on that level and giving it up to the Spirit to correct and show you who you actually are. You let life show you, and life will show you. You will have no other choice other than to accept it because it will be undeniable. When you're really doing this and wholeheartedly putting your faith in God, in the Creator, the only one that knows what's best for you, and being real on that level, it takes a lot of courage to really be honest about your inauthenticity, to really be honest on the depth of of your own mind and internal being to where you have identified with the darkness and the denial of the ego of who you actually are, and give that up in every sense that the world is constantly reflecting back to you perfectly. The world is only showing you your own consciousness only all the time. And that's the beauty of it. When you use it for that, then you let God show you who you are, and then you let peace and joy show up in life. And when you do this, the skill to develop, which takes time, these things take time. This is why I love the Red Road, the Native American path, which I personally have been on the last 12 years. And I'm a baby, an infant walking on that road. But it takes time to learn how to be honest with yourself, and to learn how to be honest with yourself in a way where you're not judging yourself. That's a skill, because we have used our whole life to master judging ourselves and lying to ourselves. Now, being aware of it and then taking it on from a place of awareness without judgment and appreciation for the opportunity every time you have that opportunity to give it up, because you know in your heart that you're going to be freer. You're going to experience what peace and joy and fulfillment and abundance and being in service where you're useful actually is, where a creator can live and breathe through you. Everyone has access to this. That's the beauty of it. It's awesome. And there's something to notice when this is occurring in your life, because you're doing the work sincerely for yourself, wholeheartedly and honestly internally. You'll start to notice that the things that once held your attraction or drew you don't any longer hold the same attraction to you. In fact, you become attracted and drawn towards other things. You become creative. You become a useful tool and instrument for waking other people up in a creative way that is perfectly in alignment with the gifts that you have. So you're living your greatest joy by giving your gifts because they're inherent to your being. That's the beauty of it. But you'll notice your life gets simplified. Abundance isn't about having things. Abundance becomes something knowing that you have and you don't need. And there's a level of you don't need things and money and material of the world to justify your abundance. Abundance becomes seen for what it actually is. See, we've been used to seeing things through our ego's eyes, from a place of lack, need. I need to belong. I need to be appreciated. I need to be seen a certain way. I need to have this and that in order for people to think I am this or that. That's ego. When you've cleared that out, in the sense of you've accepted it and you've released your attachment and your identity to it, then you see abundance through different eyes for what abundance actually is. You see abundance for a place of being abundant without needing these things to justify it or to feel abundant. Abundant, like just gratitude and everything else, is unconditional. Abundance is a natural state of your wholeness. Think of it. When you're whole, you don't need anything because you have all you need. You are all you need. So you give.